Training for the Berlin Marathon starts now.
Mile and a quarter till the turnaround. Hitting the paces, but it is tough. Still definitely. First workout for Berlin Marathon in the books. Mixed it up with the paces, started easy, picked it up to marathon pace, mile at tempo, some more marathon pace, and then end with a nice 2-mile cool down. I'm excited to see how heat adapted I am, according to my watch after this run.
Cheers, y'all. How's it going? As mentioned, this is the first official workout of Berlin Marathon training. We are 18 weeks out from the Berlin Marathon, which I feel like I say all the time, seems like a long way away, but I know it will be here before I know it. Very excited to be diving into a new style of training, specifically from the Daniels running formula, doing the 2Q marathon training plan, or an adapted version of the 2Q marathon training plan. Basically, the idea behind the plan, the 2Q stands for 2 quality workouts each week. So a quality workout on the weekend and then a quality workout somewhere midway through the week. I am excited to try this type of training plan because it seems like for a lot of the plan, the long run mileage is a little bit lower, but the intensity is a bit higher, which is something I tend to enjoy as part of my training. Those are the types of workouts I really like. And the idea is by doing 2 of them, you are adding additional load in intensity again, as opposed to running volume, while still building up volume, but maybe not as quickly as you would in some other training plans. So I'm excited to give this style of training a shot and happy to report how it goes throughout. I'm feeling really good after that first workout, but of course it is still very, very early. In terms of mentioning that this is sort of an adapted version of the 2Q plan, something I talk about a lot in my videos is that I am relatively prone to overuse injuries, I would say, particularly in like the IT band, and then sometimes even in like the Achilles calf area, when I just ramp up training and try to do too much too soon. So I am always a bit hesitant heading into the early stages of any sort of race training, wanting to be mindful of the injuries that I've had in the past and trying to do what I can to mitigate the risk of falling into those same patterns as before. So what that means for this block of training is that my mileage has dropped off pretty significantly since I finished the Mohican 100 miler. I have not done any sort of long distance road training in quite some time, and I haven't done any training with any real intensity in months. I'm a little hesitant to ramp up my mileage too quickly, but also a little bit nervous about ramping up my intensity too quickly. Luckily, the 2Q plan, at least the first few workouts, the interval portions of the runs aren't too crazy. They're not very long duration, and the paces aren't too drastic. So I feel relatively okay with that. But at least for this sort of first third of training, I think I'm just gonna focus on hitting one quality workout each week, hitting that weekend long run with the intensity built in, while simultaneously just working on building up the mileage of what will become the second quality run. So my training for the last several months has really just been kind of like mid-distance runs throughout the week, usually 2 or 3 of those around 5-6 miles, and then the long run on the weekend, of course. What I'm hoping to do now is kind of continue with that model, but choose one run midway through the week to start building up the mileage to match what the other quality workout is, or match what the quality workouts will become. And then maybe as I move into that second third of training, starting to build in some of that intensity that you see in the 2Q program. So that's the plan as it stands right now. Bold strategy, we'll see if it pays off. But as of right now, like I said, my legs are feeling really good. They responded very well to this first workout. A quick recap of that workout. So this first quality run was an 11-mile run, and it was broken up into various paces. So it started with 3 miles of easy running, moved into 4 miles of running at marathon pace, followed by 1 mile at tempo pace, back down to 1 mile at marathon pace, and then wrapping up with 2 miles at easy pace. Total of 11 miles, and hit all of the paces. It was certainly difficult. It's also starting to warm up pretty quickly up here, so dealing with the heat was an issue, but I was able to hit the paces, I won't say easily, but felt comfortable as to what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a little bit of a struggle, but it was easier than I was anticipating, although I will say my heart rate was a little bit higher than I would like. But again, given that I haven't done speed work in quite some time and given the warmer temperatures, I'm just gonna hope that that continues to improve over time. In terms of goal paces, we are also splitting that up, splitting goal paces up into sort of thirds of training. So it's an 18-week training program. Each 6 weeks, I'll be focusing on one set of goal paces, slowly increasing those or getting them a little bit faster every 6 weeks. So starting with sort of where I'm at right now, what my fitness level is currently based on some recent race performances, and gradually increasing throughout the training block to what I would like my marathon pace to be, my goal marathon pace for Berlin. So for this first 6-week block of training, that means easy pace is right around like a 9 to 10 minute mile. I'll typically start on the easier end in that warm-up period just to get the blood flowing, get comfortable, slowly kind of getting closer to like that 9:15 pace. But again, doing that portion mostly based on feel, just wanting this to be a very comfortable, very easy portion of the run. Marathon pace that I'm shooting for in terms of training is an 8:17 mile. And then the tempo split for this current 6-week block of training is gonna be 7:42 per mile. So those were the goals going into it. For those first 3 miles, I was right at a 9:24 minute mile. Perfect pace, felt very easy, very controlled, around like 150 beats per minute heart rate. You'll see that start to spike up as we go through the run. So that second portion, the 4 miles at marathon pace, hit an average pace of 8:12, so a little bit under the goal. Felt pretty good, although the heart rate did climb up to 164. It started to get easier later into the run. I think I settled into that pace, but certainly felt more difficult when I was first jumping into it. Hitting the tempo pace, this one was, I won't say a struggle, but I do think the heat was a huge factor here in terms of like the fuel and hydration. Heart rate spiked up to an average of 170, peaked at 174. So obviously higher than I would like it, especially at these paces, but looking forward to seeing that come down as we continue to build some of this intensity into future rounds of training. So 7:34 average pace for that. So again, slightly under what my goal pace was for that split. Next one, another mile at marathon pace. That was right at an 8-minute mile, or a little bit over 8:04 minute mile. So a little bit faster than I was shooting for, a little bit faster than that first split. But what I found, of course, is once I had hit that faster pace, that tempo pace, I was having to pull myself back when I was trying to dial in that marathon pace again, because I got comfortable at that speedier pace. And so had to constantly check in with myself, slow it down. We want to be closer to 8:17, but that mile felt so much easier than those first 4. And then finishing up with marathon pace again, finished at right around a 9:19 minute mile. again, kept speeding up closer to 9 minutes, had to consciously pull it back after doing some of those faster paces. They started to feel more comfortable. And even though my heart rate was still pretty high at this point, got under 160 thankfully, but still upper 150s, 158 average for that block, the effort felt much easier. So looking forward to that continuing to be the case. As I mentioned, still a lot of work to get done, but my legs felt good after this run. I didn't feel beat up at all. I felt very comfortable for the most part. Obviously, like I said, was tough to keep up with at some points, or finding that initial pace when I was first speeding up was a little bit difficult to dial in. But once I'd been there for a while, got very comfortable in those paces. So looking forward to plenty more, looking forward to building up the volume, especially. I think that is gonna be huge for my training, and just really looking forward to getting to a more steady state of higher mileage running. And hopefully once I get there, I will be able to build in some more intensity as well. So we are just getting started, but I am looking forward to every step of this journey. I hope you are excited to follow along as well. If you have any questions about training, please feel free to ask them in the comments below. There's gonna be a lot of unexplored territory for me during this block of training, but as I said, I'm just really excited to dive in and see how this particular type of marathon training plan will hopefully pay off come September in the Berlin Marathon. So thank you as always for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. That helps other folks find the video as well. And if you wanna stick around for the full journey, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. I hope your training is going as well as mine is after this first workout, and just looking forward to the next one. So until next time, I'll see you around. Cheers.